Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we are talking about a situation that is quietly turning into one of the most serious urban water crises in the Middle East, the water emergency in Tehran, and what is really happening behind the headlines. Tehran is a city of more than 10 million people, and every single day it depends on a fragile system of dams, groundwater wells, rivers, and aging infrastructure to survive. For decades, this system worked under pressure, but now that pressure has crossed a dangerous limit, what we are seeing today is not a sudden disaster, but the result of many slow decisions, natural stresses, and human mistakes coming together at the same time. To understand the emergency, we first need to look at water availability itself. Iran is a naturally arid country, and Tehran sits in a region where rainfall has always been limited. In recent years, however, rainfall patterns have changed dramatically. Winters are shorter, snowfall in the mountains is lower, and when rain does fall, it often comes in short, intense bursts that run off quickly instead of soaking into the ground. The dams that supply Tehran were designed for a different climate. They rely heavily on snowmelt from the Alborz Mountains, but those snow reserves are shrinking year by year. As a result, water levels in major reservoirs have dropped to alarming levels, some reaching historic lows. When reservoirs fall this low, even normal daily consumption becomes difficult to manage. At the same time, groundwater, which was once a reliable backup, has been severely overused. For years, wells were drilled across and around Tehran to meet growing demand. Water was pumped out faster than nature could replace it. This has caused groundwater levels to sink, leading not only to water shortages, but also to land subsidence, where the ground itself slowly collapses. Land subsidence is not just a technical issue. It damages roads, buildings, pipelines, and sewage systems. When pipes crack or shift underground, water loss increases even more. In some parts of Tehran, experts estimate that a significant percentage of treated water never reaches homes because it leaks out of old, damaged pipes before arrival. Population growth has made everything worse. Tehran has expanded rapidly, absorbing millions of residents from other parts of the country. Each new neighborhood, apartment block, and commercial area adds pressure to the same limited water system. Urban planning did not keep pace with this growth, and water demand rose faster than supply could ever match. Agriculture also plays a hidden role in the crisis. Although Tehran is a major city, surrounding regions depend heavily on water-intensive farming. Crops like wheat, rice, and fruits require large amounts of water, often taken from the same rivers and aquifers that feed the capital. In times of shortage, this competition becomes intense and difficult to manage. Another critical factor is water consumption behavior. For many years, water was relatively cheap and widely available, which encouraged waste. Leaking taps, inefficient appliances, and high household usage became normal. Changing these habits is difficult, especially when people are already dealing with economic stress and rising living costs. Climate change has amplified all these problems. Higher temperatures increase evaporation from reservoirs and soil. Hotter summers mean people use more water for cooling, hygiene, and daily comfort. Heat waves push demand to peaks that the system simply cannot handle anymore. The government has responded with a mix of short-term and long-term measures. In the short term, water pressure reductions, scheduled supply cuts, and public warnings have become more common. Some neighborhoods experience low pressure or temporary shutdowns, especially during peak hours. These measures help stretch limited supplies, but also increase public frustration. In the long term, officials talk about desalination projects, water transfer schemes, and improved efficiency. However, these solutions are expensive, slow to implement, and often controversial. Transferring water from other regions can create new environmental and social problems, while desalination requires massive energy resources. There is also the issue of aging infrastructure. Much of Tehran's water network was built decades ago and is no longer fit for today's demands. Repairing or replacing these systems requires time, money, and coordination on a massive scale. Until that happens, losses through leakage will continue to drain precious supplies. Public awareness has increased, but fear and uncertainty are also growing. People worry about how long water will remain available and whether conditions will suddenly worsen. Businesses dependent on stable water supply, such as hospitals, factories, and food services, face serious operational risks. Social inequality plays a role as well. Wealthier areas can afford storage tanks, filters, and private solutions, while poorer communities are more vulnerable to shortages and quality issues. This creates tension and a sense of unfairness, which can quickly turn into public anger if the crisis deepens. Water quality is another concern. As water levels drop, concentrations of pollutants can rise. Treating lower quality water requires more chemicals and energy, increasing costs and risks. In some cases, people complain about changes in taste, smell, or color, which further undermines trust in the system. Experts warn that Tehran is approaching a critical threshold. If current trends continue, emergency measures may no longer be enough. Severe restrictions could become permanent, reshaping daily life in the city. Simple activities like washing clothes, watering plants, or even consistent showering could be limited by regulation. This situation did not happen overnight, and it will not be solved overnight either. Real solutions require coordinated action across government, industry, agriculture, and households. Water pricing reforms, modern irrigation, recycling wastewater, and protecting natural ecosystems are all part of the equation. Citizens also play a crucial role. Reducing waste, fixing leaks, using efficient appliances, and changing daily habits can collectively make a significant difference. While individual actions cannot solve the crisis alone, they can buy time and reduce pressure on an already strained system. The water emergency in Tehran is a warning, not just for Iran, but for megacities around the world facing similar challenges. Rapid urban growth, climate change, and poor resource management are pushing many cities toward the same edge. What happens in Tehran today could happen elsewhere tomorrow. As the crisis continues to unfold, transparency and honest communication will be critical. People need clear information about risks, plans, and realistic expectations. Trust between authorities and the public can determine whether the city navigates this challenge calmly or falls into panic and conflict. In the end, water is not just a resource, it is the foundation of life, stability, and economic survival. The situation in Tehran shows how fragile that foundation can become when warning signs are ignored for too long. The question now is not whether the emergency is real, but whether enough will be done soon enough to prevent a complete breakdown. This is the reality behind the water emergency in Tehran. A complex crisis shaped by nature, human decisions, and time. Understanding it is the first step toward facing it, and the choices made today will define the future of millions who call this city home.